Now we are moving into our ceasefire. This one, we have a panel of Nastassia Morrison, rather. Please welcome her to the stage. She's here with us. And Raulvin Koch, who I believe is joining us virtually. And they'll be discussing the topic. There are rules for leveraging social media. What should be the ultimate outcome? Attract more visitors or get more leads to grow your business? And that's what they'll be discussing. I have Nastassia here. Raj, do we have Mr. Koch?
Yes, just a moment here.
Hi, everybody. I'm Nastassia Morrison. I'm a digital marketing strategist. My company is Lazy Pen Labs, and we are a full-service digital marketing company offering services in search engine optimization, web design, web development, content marketing, and social media management. Digital is at my core. It's something that I've recently, 3 to 4 years, started to dig really deep into. I have been with a multinational corporation for 11 years, but later found that there was so much more of me to give. And so last year, I decided to leave my job and open my own company. Thank you so much, Shelly. So right now, it's all about digital. It's all about entrepreneurship. It's all about teaching people to appreciate and understand what is actually at your fingertips, and just to use it to really advance yourself, advance your business and your career.
All right, great to meet you, Miss Morrison, or Mrs. Morrison rather. And do we have Mr. Koch here with us as well, so we can have him introduce himself and tell us a little bit about who he is?
Thank
you, Romeo. Thank you very
Raulvin
much.
Cook.
Hi, Raulvin. Welcome. How are you?
I am fantastic. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be on. Absolutely. My name is
Morrison,
Raulvin Koch, as you already
we'd like
know.
to
I am
meet
an
you and get to know
influencer
some more
and
about
authority
you. So
positioning brand
please feel
strategist.
free
I
to
work with
introduce yourself and give us
aspiring
some background
entrepreneurs as well as
information on who
executives
you
to help
are.
position them as, thought leaders and, the best in class in terms of marketing online.
All right, great, no problem. All right, so we're going to go right into the topic. There are rules for leveraging social media. What should be the ultimate outcome? Attract more visitors or get more leads to grow your business? Nastasia, I'll take your take on that first.
All right, so for me personally, there's really no straight answer. If you are looking to leverage social media, one, you need to first understand why you're using social media. So you need to have some goals, you need to have some business objectives. So is it that you want to, one, create more awareness? Is it that you want to create more leads? So first you need to appreciate what is my business and why is it that I'm going on social media. After you've done that, you can then analyze, for example, an avatar of what your profile of a customer should look like. You can then know, okay, where are my customers? What platforms are they actually using? And then that's when you would want to go on that platform. Of course, initially, I think you'd want to raise awareness of your brand, but eventually and ultimately for me, my position is that you
Wonderful. I
should
mean, obviously
definitely
she's an
enter
expert. She knows
business
what she's
to
talking
grow
about. I
your
mean,
leads
anyone that's
and of
in
course make
business
more
should
money.
know that obviously
All right.
you want to make money from
Raulvin,
your
your take
business.
on this one?
So in terms of whether you should drive more traffic or, look to gain more leads, I think you need to strike a balance. I mean, if you're driving traffic, a lot of traffic towards a business that is not aligned with who your customers really are, then you're going to be wasting money. So I'll give you an example of that. When I first started marketing, I was in college. Back in 2004, I was going to Rutgers University, and I put up my first website. It was called In Style for Less. We had the coolest sneakers and the name brand apparel, and I was basically going promoting with everyone. My college roommate and I, we promoted to everyone on campus that we knew, and it was just driving traffic to the website, via word of mouth. Obviously, let's say we drove 1,000 visitors. If 20 people bought something, well, that gave us an indication that maybe we weren't targeting the right market. And so that's what you need to pay attention to. Understanding who your niche is, like who's your target audience, and being really intimately, involved with what it is that they really want. You don't want to just spray marketing and you'll end up wasting a lot of money. So understand your clients and your customers and give them what they want. So there's a balance. Drive traffic, but drive the correct traffic to an offer so that you can gain leads. If you're just collecting leads and people are not converting, that means there's also another issue there. You're not converting people. They're probably putting their email address and their information into your website, and you're collecting that information. But maybe that offer is not, something that they really want. They probably just figured out, hey, I stumbled up on this page. So really, again, in business, is really the goal is to make money. So you want to drive the right amount of traffic to an offer that converts well, so that you can make more money in your business.
Right. Let's talk a little bit about the rules for leveraging a business's social media. And Nastasia, what are some of the rules that we are to be observing?
All right. So I want to add just a little bit on something that Raulvin said. And with regards to you creating leads, people probably don't understand what creating leads actually mean. And this is just simply the person who you're targeting who is actually interested in your product. So you can create leads for so many things, and you can have a lot of people following you, but will they actually purchase? And if they're not purchasing, that there's a sign that they're just not your correct target market. Leads, for example, you can create leads through target or gated content. So you have a video, for example, and you want to talk about social ROI. So you put out this video, social ROI. Of course, you'll get people being interested in learning about your social ROI. But what you now need to do is create some sort of a page that will allow these people to say, okay, type in name, email address, so right there and then you're actually collecting information. And this is actually a lead because I'm making an effort to fill in my email, fill in my name because I'm interested in the content that you're actually putting out. So you'll be able to convert that particular customer easier than somebody who just come and look on your page and take it themselves. For those who don't know overseas, what that means is not interested in your product.
They'll take themselves away. All right, so we're going to go back to the rules, the question on the rules. What are some of the rules then that we should be observing? So marketing gets us the leads and sales gets us paid. Right, so what are some of the rules that we should be observing now in leveraging our social media platforms?
So first you want to appreciate what your brand is. You want to appreciate who your customers are, and you want to stick within particular brand guidelines. Yes, it is good for a business to want to highlight who their CEO is or who their management and who their team is, but I find in particular, and this is specific to, for example, a business page, I don't want to see you putting on your makeup in the morning when you're getting ready. That's not your brand. That's not what your brand is about. So if you have a business page, you need to focus on business matters. Whatever it is that you're posting about your brand must be so engaging, and it needs to be kept within that brand guideline. So your personal things, you and your child or your family hanging out, or you taking a trip to Paris, you want to avoid things like those. You want to really and truly focus on the business at hand. Another thing that you want to do is be consistent. You can't post today and then people comment or like or share and you don't acknowledge them at all till 2 or 3 weeks later. So a break in consistency is not good, and I would encourage everybody to be consistent with their posts. Be authentic about what it is that you're doing. We had a speaker yesterday who spoke about having an influencer, for example, market your product. She spoke specifically about an alcoholic beverage. And this particular influencer does not drink at all, but she's here promoting an alcoholic product. You need to be authentic, you need to be consistent. I would definitely say as well that, I'd definitely say as well that you need to ensure that wherever your customers are, you are. So if you're on one platform, and your customers are on another platform, you need to get on that platform. And the same thing applies, that you need to be consistent overall.
All right. Raulvin, I just want to put this to you because picking up on a point here that Nastassia made about separating your personal brand from your business brand, in the case where your personal brand is your business brand, in the case of celebrities and personalities. And
excellent question, because that's where I was actually headed next. Because, like I said, I work with
In
bigger
terms of
brands, and I work
balancing the
with
business
aspiring
with the
entrepreneurs that
personal
are trying
side?
to develop their own personal brand. So there is a difference. Nastassia helped, she touched on some excellent points, but there's a slight difference when your personal brand is the business. So in terms of people sharing information or about their family and content about what you're doing throughout the day, when you have a personal brand that you are positioning as a business, I mean that's something that is something that's wanted, because the audience that you're targeting, maybe they want to be like yourself. So they're basically trying to take their passion in their life and turn it into a lifestyle business. So, how much is too much? I mean, we don't need to get to, all the fine details. We're not trying to be the Kardashians per se, but, having that transparency and that authenticity where you're kind of sharing a little bit about your life, but also adding value at the same time. We don't want to overdo it and it's just all family photos. You want to make sure that you're striking a balance between who you really are so that your audience connects with you, they start to know, like, and trust you, versus your business, giving them value add so that they can learn how to grow their business, whether it be through marketing techniques that you're utilizing, maybe something that you just bought on Amazon to further your business, sharing that content, sharing that information, and being, like Nastassia said, being consistent with that information and engaging with the audience, so that they know that you're a real person. I mean, because that's what it's really about. People don't buy products and services per se. They buy into the brand. They buy into who you are and who your company is. So if you're transparent and they feel like there's a connection made, people first buy with emotion. So if they connect with you, then they use their logic to go and purchase that product. But first, when you're a personal brand, I say, sharing a little bit about who you are and the background stories and mixing it up, maybe 25% of your life, also helps.
All right, Nastasia, do you want to add anything to that?
Yes, definitely. On that point, Raulvin, it's all good when you're an influencer, but it's also important for us to add value. So if I see somebody that I follow, and again, this is about consistency. If I see somebody that I follow and I like, and I go out in a public space and I approach this person, and this person is nothing like what he or she portrays to be on social media, then you've just lost somebody. And it's not just one person, because I'm going to share that experience with all my friends. I'd probably even take a picture and post on social media. So it's also detrimental to the person who's being an influencer. So authenticity, consistency.
Authenticity, consistency, great points. Before I go into my other questions, I want to open the floor here in the auditorium for questions. Yes, Shellyan has a question there. Do we have any other questions?
Hi, I just wanted to add a little more to what Nastasia said, the point that she was making. I feel a little differently about sharing your personal, it's not really personal, but this idea that you have to stick to the business alone. Personally, I find a lot of business pages here that I see in Jamaica to be very monotonous. So, for example, if they sell cheese, every post is about cheese and it's cheese all day. And I'm like, okay, so if I was just passing by this thing and I'm not into cheese, then I wouldn't even stop at your page. However, if maybe one day you pair some fruit with the cheese, mix it up a little, the fruit might have gotten my attention. But the example I'm using is really to indicate that sometimes adding a little bit of personal touch to the business page actually will attract the person who may not come to your page just for the business. Maybe that personal touch. So for example, the thing that you said about the CEO putting on the makeup in the morning, maybe she don't need to brush her teeth and all of that, but I think it would be quite interesting if I'm browsing past the page and say ex-limited CEO putting on her favorite lipstick and go, oh, that's a nice lipstick. And just because I noticed her putting on her lipstick, I go visit their business page. So she has now gotten me to look at her business page because I was interested in her lipstick color. So I don't think that it should be that black and white where, okay, so if it's a business page, it just needs to be business, full stop there.
All right, so let's talk about humanizing the business pages. Yes.
Cool. So I think you don't fully understand what I was getting at. So for me personally, storytelling is absolutely important. As a matter of fact, content is king. And if you don't have engaging content, then you don't have a business on social media. And that's just it. So I think you really misunderstood where I was going. I'm saying that if you have a business page, it cannot be that you're personalizing it. So if from a standpoint you're running a campaign, for example, and it just so happens that you need to use a few personal touches from your CEO, from your management, leadership, customers, staff engagement, that's fine. But it can't be that every time I come on your page to learn more about the products, I'm seeing your CEO or I'm seeing your anybody from your leadership team, because that's not really why I'm there. If you evaluate why your customer is there, you realize it's not about the personal or the persons within the company, but it's actually what the company has to offer. It's how much more can I learn about the products that you have to offer. If it is that it was a makeup company that was offering makeup services, for example, and you're portraying on social media from the perspective of the CEO utilizing the products, then that's fine. Your staff utilizing the products, then that's fine. But if you're about business, most of the content that you're putting out, one, needs to be engaging, and two, should not
Well,
be
again, I'll give another example. I'll give an
I hope you
example of,
understand the
you know,
difference,
a big
right?
organization
All
where
right,
you
Raulvin,
have
I'm
a
going to bring you in
CEO who
here. What is
has
your
an
opinion on
amazing
this
brand,
point?
and people start to follow the company because of the CEO. So, anyone know Richard Branson? I'm sure you guys know Richard Branson. So, if you go on LinkedIn, Richard Branson, CEO of Virgin Airlines, he's a billionaire. Uh, People follow his page on LinkedIn more than they follow the company's brand. But people know Richard Branson because they know, they trust Richard Branson as a brand, a personal brand, and he's sharing stories about his life, his adventure. People begin to associate his brand Virgin with Richard Branson, and so they begin to like the brand. So that's one way that, you know, you don't necessarily have to have humanizing content on the business page. But if you have your leaders become likable to people and people know who they are and start to see that they're associated with another brand, then they begin to like your brand. It's almost like, oh, there's that connection. Okay, because I like him, I like his brand, I trust him, I trust his brand. Another example of this is Damon John. I worked with Damon John as one of his Rise and Grind ambassadors recently, and Damon John is out there. He's constantly, you know, we know him from Shark Tank. He's the creator of FUBU, and more recently, he's pushing his new book. So Damon's out there creating videos. He's putting out videos of with him and his daughter. So people begin to know, like, and trust him. I'm in other groups with people that follow Damon John, and they love Damon John. So guess what? When it's time to start promoting his products, his FUBU 25th anniversary hats and sneakers, guess what happens? Maybe Damon John's image is not on that page specifically where they're selling the product, but you know when Damon promotes his products to go to the page, but you're going to go because Damon influenced you to go there and you like him. So that's how you have to find that balance between, you know, the business and the humanizing, but know that you don't necessarily have to put your content, your humanizing content on your business page, but know how to link them. So it's about timing and positioning and where you're putting the content and how you link those two together.
All right, do we have any other
Okay.
questions from the auditorium? Yes, we have one over there in the corner. Can we get the microphone over there, please?
Good afternoon. My name is Alexi. And my question is in the context of, you know, creating a content-based brand that is focused on creating content that could be, you know, that's based on unpopular opinion, it's very subjective. Is it still best practice then to create that personal feel to show maybe the faces behind the brand, you know, the persons who are creating these opinions that's probably getting some controversy, you know, on social media, but attention nonetheless. So, you know, your views on that.
I actually think that it leaves some sort of a mystery if you don't show who is behind the brand. I know there's a particular brand in Jamaica called Their Dream, and I don't have a clue who's behind Their Dream, but it is so interesting. Like, they have thousands of followers, but I don't think anybody knows who behind the brand is. I don't think it's important for a brand that is positioned like that to have a face out there. That's my position on that, because of the type of product that they're pushing.
All right, Raulvin, your 2 cents on this.
Well, she makes an excellent point. Yeah, she makes an excellent point. It really just depends on your brand and what your goal is. So it may work for some brands to have that mystique, but some other brands that want to be transparent and want to connect with people, then maybe that's a strategy for them. So it really, again, it just goes back to having clarity at the beginning and knowing the intention that you want to create with your brand. So I think it really it just matters. It just depends on what your
Yes,
goal
Debbie,
is.
thank you very much.
All right.
The first
Raj,
question
over to you.
from
Do you have any
Margaret.
questions from our
Uh,
online participants? I'm
yeah,
sure they're
if we can
personal.
suggest
They're
any other best social
both
media apart
firing
from
some
Facebook,
questions your
YouTube,
way.
Insta, and Quora.
Okay, I'll take this one. And again,
LinkedIn.
it still goes back to having clarity. So now, who is your target audience? You need to understand intimately who your target audience is. You know the demographics, meaning what are the things that they are doing, what are the shows that they watch, what's their age group, what are their psychographics and ethnographics about that target audience, so then you can kind of figure out where they are. So maybe, for instance, LinkedIn is an excellent place if you are starting a business and you may be in coaching. That is where you will find a lot of professionals that make over $75,000 US a year. And so maybe that's the place where you want to be. Facebook now, the demographic has changed from its creation. So there are a lot of older people on there now. You know, my grandmother's on Facebook, so maybe that's not where you want to target. And there's constantly new uh, platforms evolving each day. Instagram just started their Instagram TV, IGTV. Maybe you want to be there, but again, you don't have to be every place. So it's really about knowing your client, your ideal customer,
All right,
and figuring out where
Nastassia.
they are and focusing there. And then you can find a strategy to kind of syndicate your message, across the internet. But you don't have to be every place. I say stick to the top two or three, and you focus there.
I'm in full agreement with Raulvin on that. You have to first appreciate the fundamentals, and that is one, understanding who your customers are. It really makes no sense. I mean, it's a waste of money and it's a waste of effort to go on platforms that your
Thank
customers
you.
aren't on.
So,
So you really want to
again,
spend
talking
some
about
time,
Quora,
due
we have a question
diligence,
from Penny
understanding who
Crow.
your
How to
customers are
influence
and where they
Quora
are,
to
and
the
then
core?
focus your monies on
So again,
energies on
it
those
reflects on
platforms.
the demographic and others, but still, if we have anything to add there for Quora,
Okay, so with Quora, again, it's about adding value. And any platform you're on, it's about adding value. Quora is a platform where people ask questions. You want to make sure that you are finding and curating content or topics that you know how to answer, and make sure you're answering those questions as thoroughly as possible. And if you're gonna, when you answer questions, people start to follow you and they become interested in who you are because you're adding so much value. At that point, just adding a link to your profile, people begin to, come back to your page again. Now they know, like, and trust you, and then you can begin to take them back to your website or whatever it is that you're doing,
great.
to begin to nurture those leads that you
So,
get
is
from
it,
Quora. But again, it's
yeah,
really
this is
about
an
adding
exclusive
value,
one.
answering questions, and then
Is it
start to
really
create your
possible
own
to build
topics
a brand
and
without
discussions
social
on Quora.
media? From Tom Hibbs. Question from Tom Hibbs.
Mhm.
My answer to that is yes, it is possible, but how effective will it be and how sustainable will it be is what I would ask. Again, it depends on what the brand is because some brands do survive without social media. Lawyers, some doctors, for example, I would think wouldn't necessarily need social media, but largely it's difficult.
So I think she's absolutely right. I mean, it really depends on how long your brand has been around. If you're starting a new business and you're trying to get into the game and you're not established, people don't know your brand, people are not picking up the paper the way they used to. So the social media, digital marketing, that digital media platforms, that's where the people are. Again, it's about knowing where your customers are. And if they're on social media, if you try to just promote offline and put up billboard ads, you're not going to get the same amount of traffic. So yes, you can have a successful business, but it won't be. I don't think it will be as successful as opposed to if you were just marketing online. I think you need to strike a balance. There's still offline methods that are useful because there's not a lot of competition there because everyone thinks that businesses have to be online. So find that balance. Maybe do some old school traditional marketing, direct marketing strategies, mail strategies, and just use a combination of those things because offline marketing could be a little cheaper, um, now that everyone's
Great.
not there anymore.
So that answers
I think
two other questions
ultimately
as well
you
along
need to
with
be
that
online
from
if you want
Jordan
to
and
be, if you want to
Jason,
grow your
who
business
had a similar question
exponentially,
about
but find that
is it
balance.
advisable to use social media to target your audience and how to use social media to drive engagement on our website. So adding to it, if we can see something more about these, like, how to use social media to drive engagement on our website. If we can throw some insight on that.
Nastassia?
How to use, sorry, Raj, how to use social media to drive content to your website? How to use social media to drive engagement to your website?
Yes, so
Okay, so for me, you'd want to be a storyteller. Be a storyteller on social media. Ensure that whatever content it is that you're putting out is also aligned with what is on your website. So you could, for example, develop campaigns and strategies around social media and creating links, so backlinking, links that will lead back to your website, whether it is to finish read a blog or to add some more information or to fill out a contact form or to sign up for a newsletter. But if the content that you have on social media is not engaging, then it won't drive me to go back to your website. And of course, whatever it is that you're putting out, you need to ensure that the proper links are there so people can keep going back to or referring back to the website that you have.
So it depends on the type of business. Again, I'm gonna default to a personal solopreneur influencer. If you are trying to drive traffic to your website and you want to make it sticky, make sure you're providing again good content. You are blogging and sharing articles that are relevant to the topics that your audience is interested in. Maybe you don't like to write. You can have guest bloggers, post content for you. So they're also driving traffic to your website from their site because they're a guest on your website. If you like to create video, create videos on YouTube and post it on your website as well. Maybe post some of that on Instagram and share it on LinkedIn. And people then want to they're gonna be curious about who is this person. They're gonna go back to your website and constantly check your website for more interesting information. So I think that's how you do it. If you have a podcast, again, post those interviews and maybe snippets of interviews that you do on your website. Even if you're a larger organization, like an airline, post the newest. You just created a new plane, or you guys are doing research on a new plane or a spaceship that's going to Mars soon.
Great.
You want to post those updates.
All right,
So that
so
people are
that's the
constantly
end
looking
of
to
our
you as an
participant
authority and
questions.
an expert.
Thank you very much,
And
Raulvin.
someone that is always
Thank you
providing
very
the
much,
latest and greatest
Nastassia.
information. So I think that's how you do it.
Over to you, Debbie.
all right, yes, we want to thank the panelists. Please give them a round of applause, please. Thank you for that discussion. Thank you so much. I know that it has sent some people, of course, thinking again about whether or not they're doing the correct thing for their social media platforms. So we thank you so much to both of you for participating.